One of my YouTube viewers asked a great question. How do you handle the homeless? Well, I've been on the streets more than most. Seeing the world from a car is different from a slow-moving bicycle. You get to see far more, and that gives you more understanding. Don't get mad. I wish the homeless had a better life. I'm trying to give you insight as to how I handle the homeless and why. I once had a stealth camp in Akron, Ohio. It was under an intersection of two highways in the blazing heat. It was almost dark, and I rolled my bike down a steep path to the edge of a small, shallow river. I waded in to cool off, eventually lying down in the water because it felt so good. Then I heard someone yell, "Hey, stranger, a witch comes through here every night. You better be gone by then." Then I didn't hear anything else. I looked down a path along the river which led into thick, tall bushes. I then noticed right before the bushes, on the path, toilet paper. Then what was under it? And flies all around it, buzzing loudly. I left, not because I'm afraid of witches. I'm not. I'm afraid I couldn't sleep with an insane homeless man nearby. He was being territorial in his roundabout, insane way. He had marked his territory by defecating on the path to his hideout. He wasn't acting civilized. He wasn't compassionate. I get so roughed up by life on the road, the homeless I meet assume I'm homeless too. But this guy wanted to scare me off. No friendly welcome, although there was plenty of space along the river. Why was he alone? He didn't get along with people, that's why. They didn't like him either. At least I didn't. He could attack me in my sleep. I had to move on because of him and his trail shitting. I rode off in the dark to find another camp and then pitch camp in the dark. So when I see homeless, I avoid them, if I can. When they're camped in a group, there's garbage and shit everywhere. They could clean it up, right? They have all day to take a plastic bag and pick up all the litter and take it to a trash can, right? Yes. That would be green of them. They're not green. Go ahead and say society is wrong to treat the poor so badly that they're homeless. But homelessness is rooted in antisocial behavior, not income. There are homeless shelters. But when I meet a homeless person, I ask them why they don't go there, and there are two consistent answers. Number one, there are other homeless people there, and therefore it's a dangerous place. And number two, they have too many rules. The first one being you can't bring alcohol. So I get this consistently when I talk to homeless people. The homeless, in my mind, are my fellow man. I want a better life for them. When they want a better life for themselves, they can find help and find shelter. I met a guy, young guy, dirty, must have been comfortable in that wretched condition. His cardboard sign read, "Not gonna lie, I need beer money." I worked downtown and would see him on the same corner, slouched in a heap, a big dog at his side. I felt sorry for the dog. The dog looked sorry, too. The guy seemed to always collect money enough for beer by mid-afternoon, and then he was gone to his hideout, his beer cave. Hope he also got some dog food. The dog looked cleaner and better fed than the guy, so that made me happy. I knew a guy named Joe. He walked around downtown talking to himself and sometimes others, but usually incoherently, which scared strangers. But I got to know him when he said something nonsensical to me, and I responded by asking him, "What's with all the scarves?" He had several thin scarves made of different colored yarn around his neck in hot weather. He answered, "I knit them and sell them." I looked over a few and picked out one and gave him $15. He was happy. I thought perhaps that when I saw him again, he would see me as someone he could connect with, rather than isolating himself by throwing crazy statements into the crowd of downtowners. No such luck. He recognized me at times, but was often angry, and then angry at me. I thought he probably was schizophrenic. Then one day I was walking downtown, and I realized I hadn't seen Joe for at least a few weeks. I hope some mental health worker rescued him, and he got some sedation or some kind of treatment for his illness, his mental illness. The poor guy. I worked with a guy whose life was out of control, but he was a hard worker when he showed up for work. The boss didn't fire him for missing time, so even though he had a job, his income would take consistent hits. He was also so behind in rent, he got evicted. He didn't have much and moved it all to a forested hill about 2 miles from work. He'd ride his bike into work in the morning and ride back to his camp in the evening. He knew I stealth camped too, and we talked about it. He carefully watched his money and saved up for a deposit in first and last month's rent. On a new place, he got it together, and he had a roof over his head in a month and a half. Then he started skipping work again. When I'm out on the road stealth camping, I avoid the homeless. They're always working some angle, which is tiresome. If I want conversation, I go to a truck stop and get coffee at the store. Always some guys initiating conversation there, and they talk about trucking and how long they've been at it and the way it's changed. I like hearing about it and seeing that they're mentally organized. You can't drive an 80,000-pound truck for very long if your thinking ain't right. I deal with homeless people on a regular basis. I learned early on that they're homeless for good reasons. Their lives got messy and they reacted in a way, whatever way, that made them homeless. Why don't they crash at a friend's house? Well, if you talk to them a while, you'll guess that their friend had too many rules and conflicts arose and they had to leave or they got the boot. I've laid down and gone peacefully to sleep in bear country. I've had a bear walk right by my tent. I've probably had that happen many times and slept through it, all alone, many, many miles from the nearest human. I'm good with that. But I avoid the homeless. That's how I sum it up. The homeless with a sound mind aren't homeless for long. The ones that stay homeless are doing it willfully, and I view that as a character flaw that I can't risk sleeping soundly around. I wish they had a better life, but if they've been homeless for a long time, then they don't want help and they don't want to change. I bet they would if panhandling wasn't easy or profitable. Maybe I'm wrong about all this. What do you think? Leave a comment below. Thanks.